Perfect.
My aspect ratio is weird.
Yeah.
I noticed that, yeah.
Something's with your camera, yeah?
Yeah. Damn it.
Okay, now I think we should be live now. It's always a bit of delay here, but anyway.
Got it.
So a warm welcome from me, first of all, to you three here, and of course also to all the viewers out there. It's been a long time since our last session, which was in April, but now the summer is coming to an end slowly, and so it's time again for some live streams here and some guests that we can host. And today I'm super excited and happy to have Tom Williams here on the show from UK. And he will tell us a bit about his story, his astrophotography, and hopefully will share some crazy images, as you will see. Unfortunately, I have some issues with the stream. Does any one of you have YouTube open by accident?
No.
I have. It's looking good.
Yeah? Okay. For me, it says some error. Always struggling.
I can load it up and just see.
That's weird. Oh, and Yasha's waiting. Okay. I just let him in.
The YouTube looks fine for me.
Okay, great.
Yep, for me too.
Okay. So, hi, Yasha.
Hi.
It's working. Great.
Yeah. Are we streaming already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
No worries. Okay. So the plan is to let Tom speak a bit, and then we will also share some of our images. I believe there are not many today because the weather was, at least for me, was not permitting much work on the telescope, unfortunately. So we are all hoping for better times in terms of weather. Yeah, but so far, oh, Peter, just a moment. I let Peter join. That's cool. And we're nearly complete. Peter, hello. Hi.
There you go.
I hope you didn't get any problems when hurrying so much. We can't hear you so far. Oh, okay. Technical issues. Okay, anyway, I would suggest we give Tom the stage. So just let me switch the Zoom appearance here. So yeah, that looks good. And close this. Okay, so now we are good to go.
Cool. I'll just share my screen. You seeing this?
Yes.
Working?
Yes.
Cool. Just let me know if it becomes like pixelated or whatever. I don't know how good my internet is. So let's just get it on the way. This is my first telescope that I got in 2017 now. Obviously the camera and stuff wasn't there in the first place. That's actually my modern imaging train that I used even recently. This image is actually from August last year when I was just playing around with it. The seeing was poor, and I just thought, oh, why not? You know, it cleared up. And a friend of mine was actually asking about how, like, what I could do with the smaller scope. The image on the right is what I got on that night, so it's okay, but you know, it's just nice to go back to where I started.
Tom, sorry to interrupt you. That is it looks pretty small, but the image looks great. So what is this?
I mean,
Well, Thorsten, every time Tom says the scene was bad,
Yeah.
this image is perfect. For future reference.
Okay.
well, we'll see later in the thingy. I'll show you what perfect scene looks like. But yeah, I actually had to put the these things here, the little balls. I have this on my main scope. They're just basically counterweights because the imaging train was so heavy. But yeah, that was just a bit of fun, whatever. This was actually reminiscent of it's actually an image taken with my DSLR with the 130 SLT again, but it's a reminiscent of my first view of Jupiter in 2017. I remember seeing the full moons. Obviously the planet wasn't so overexposed, but yeah, I thought I'd put that in there. It's quite nice. This is my first image of Saturn that I could actually find. This was on my Instagram, actually. I leave all my images up for people to go back and see, like, you know, where I've come from, I suppose, because I think it's a bit silly to delete the old ones. I don't know. I actually quite like having that there, but this was just taken with my phone at the eyepiece in, yeah, again, 2017. So the rings were nicely on show back then, but obviously it's, yeah, a pixelated mess because it's a phone. These were the next year, so 2018. This was when I got my first Astro camera, which was the Celestron Next Image 5, I think. Of course, they were still quite low down though, the planets, even in 2018, yeah. So the dispersion's very bad with the fringing. I've just left these as my original processes, by the way. All of these images aren't reprocessed. I just wanted to leave it there. Obviously horrendously overexposed, so it is what it is. Then a few notable events that I did see. This was 2019, July 16th, I think, the partial lunar eclipse. So that was actually clear for once. That's just a single image with the DSLR again with the 5-inch. And then this was the Great Conjunction. I wish I knew a bit more at the time because it's a bit of a rare event. But I think that's Rhea off to the right of Saturn, and then Titan further out. And then obviously the 3 Galilean moons. I think the 4th was either behind or in front of Jupiter, I assume, at the time. But that was nice to see visually. This was the Mercury transit in 2019, again taken with the 5-inch. Obviously, I didn't know how to do flats or expose properly either, but there you go. This is in 2020, actually. I think early 2020. Yeah, this was a 12-inch job that I invested in. And I don't know whether you can. I've got a little like bar at the top. I hope you can see the camera up there. That's the 462 MC that I also upgraded to, which I still have in room here. Get it? Yeah, so I still haven't sold this. I probably should, but yeah, nice little camera. Planets were obviously still quite low down at this point. These were the images that I got in 2020. So of course we had the Mars apparition in October, which is actually very well placed. It's a bit of a shame I didn't get that when I had a bit more knowledge and experience, but it is what it is. This Jupiter isn't actually a shadow, I don't think. I think this is Callisto on the corner, because its albedo is much lower than the other moon. So actually, once you sharpen it, it becomes incredibly dark. So it looks like a shadow, but it's not. Saturn, yeah, it is what it is. I don't really have I didn't have an ADC at this time, so it's a bit These were taken with the 12-inch again. This was in the following year, 21. These are my best images of the season. This is a nice triple event actually here. Europa's nested there. I can just about see it, but you might struggle. Europa shadow, and then Io exiting, Jupiter shadow here, and then Ganymede on the side. Touch of detail. But.
Tom, what did you change between this one and the previous?
So
this is such a difference.
This, I think the seeing was quite good on this night. But I did actually have the ADC at this point. This was just with, okay. I think it was maybe a poor quality Barlow and the 462, and that was it.
Okay.
Okay. I didn't do any IR stuff either in terms of luminance. Well, I did for the Uranus image here because that's the only way you get the detail. The polar hood is infrared luminance layer. I usually use one for Saturn because it's obviously less affected by seeing. This was just one shot color though. The seeing was quite good. Both of these were shot at about 25 degrees, 23, something like that. So that was just a nice night, both same night. But yeah, and then these were just my best images that these are hand tracked ones with the 12-inch. On the left was with a 2x Barlow, again with the 462. And then the right one was with the 3x Barlow.
Do you remember how many single frames you stacked for that?
This one was something like 19 frames. It was nothing.
Really?
I got
okay.
About,
this is nothing.
I think the one on the right, because I was at 3x Barlow, was about 5,000 mil. I think it was about 1% of the frames had the ISS, so that was a bit of a pain. I just had a nice section where I had it in the field of view when it was overhead, so that was optimal. It's obviously quite noisy though because of minimal frames, and I sharpened it a bit too much maybe. But this is just the gear that I have now, 16-inch on the left, and then my solar rig on the right that I recently got this summer. That's the Quark Apollo M Max, and then I have ADC nested in here as well to get rid of the Newton rings. The scope's an Evo Star 120, so what, 4.5 inch. And then this was from a trip in September last year, which was down to the south coast of UK. And we had a great seeing, actually, excellent weather. I got really lucky. I think I managed 6 out of 7 nights, so not bad at all. But yeah, we'll come back to that. And then this next one, hopefully it plays. Yeah, this is a time lapse on one of the nights. Mars rising here, and then Pleiades and moon rise in the background.
You have motors on your Dobsonian?
Yes, yeah, it's Go-To. I forgot to mention that.
Okay.
You can just about see the wires at the bottom there, but yeah, that's a bad picture really. It looks like a manual one, but so yeah, I mean, it's obviously possible to get decent images hand tracked, but I know a few people who do it, but it's obviously a lot harder, and it's mainly just getting the frames. It's a lot nicer just have it tracked. Yeah. That's it for now. I'm just going to go on to Astrobin because these are the recent images. This is my first image on Astrobin. A bit lucky to get but, this was shot, where is it? There we go, 1st of June, yeah. You had a really nice spell. We're about the 1st to the 4th. And I used, where is it? The Beta Vessel U, which is a photometric UV filter. And that acted as the blue channel. And then I took an image with the IR pass filter, which is 610 nanometers and above. And that was the red channel, and then green was a 50-50 blend of the two. That's the common palette for people to use. And then if I just go back, this was the series that I got from the 1st to the 4th. The 3rd had Yeah, I don't even have words for the seeing that I had on the third. It's just incredible. I think I have, if I just find it. Yeah, this was the live view on that day.
Okay.
This is ultraviolet, so it's supposedly much worse affected. But
That's
hopefully
cool to see it, to have an impression how it looks. Cool.
yeah, hopefully that's loading properly. I don't know whether it's pixelated or what, but this was this was a single image that I got out of that, which is quite good. Got the pad again. Cool. There you go. This was an image that I shot in January. This was from home. Fairly good seeing. I don't think it was the best night, but also there was a nice little storm outbreak in the GRS wake. The little blue storm there. I actually asked Damien Peach about this. I didn't know what it was, but he said it's fairly common. But it was nice to pick that up. And then Ganymede as well, just about to enter occultation. There's a little bit of a brightening on the left-hand side. That is detail I checked. But yeah, I mean it's nice as it's what do you call it? Tidally locked. If you have Ganymede transiting, you always get the same face. So it's quite nice to see like how it's a good seeing indicator actually more than anything. So that was all with the one-shot color. What next? This was Mercury. Some of these were taken with the 12-inch, I think. This was over, I think, a year and a half because it's so hard to image. I think most of these were taken in the first half of the year. Yeah, April, January, in the evening sky when the ecliptic's nice and high with respect to the horizon. I forgot what this crater's called, but I think I checked it and it somewhat matches. These are all taken with IR filters as well because it's shooting so low, and obviously with the bright blue sky as well. Most of these were taken in daytime just to get a bit more altitude because the seeing is just so poor when it's down at 10 degrees. So I usually just take it on the chin with the higher shot noise from the sky and just you shoot IR anyway, so it's fairly dark, the background sky. This was shot with the 16
in color.
Yeah, this was with the Uranus C. I forgot to say actually I upgraded to the Uranus C, which lots of people use now. This was with the Skywatcher sat tracker, which I sin scan. This, which works with all of their go-to mounts. It's a bit of a pain to get set up, but obviously the results speak to themselves. So this was in August last year, I think. Yeah, Dragon nicely resolved. It's also quite nice to see these iRosa panels because I'll show you the most recent one. Note there's only 2 here of the new panels. And this was the recent one that I shot 2 weeks ago. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. Soon there'll be. I don't know whether they're planning to get another 2 more to finish it with all 8, but different Crew Dragon this time. But yeah, that was actually under fairly good seeing that. Again, one-shot color. I did one with IR. When was this? Yeah, about a week earlier. And the sun glinting off as well, which is quite nice. I have the animation somewhere on here. Yeah.
Oh my god. I have to mute myself. I'm going crazy here, really.
What's ironic here actually is this solar panel was only recently deployed. It was about, I think it was a few days it had been out. So it was nice to get the sun glint on that one out of all of them. But I just really love the way you get the texture of the panel in between. It's also very hard to stack though. You'll see there's a few, like the corners of the panels go a bit weird now because of the field rotation, but there's only so much you can do.
Do you have, let's say, a raw single frame from this from such an ISS shot?
Yes, I actually do.
I would be interested to see it.
That's a raw frame.
Okay, that
was from the second. What was it? The recent past, yeah.
That is already good, I think. So at least in my opinion, no experience.
Yeah, I mean, that was an exceptional night. To be fair, the tracker isn't perfect, so you still get this sort of ghosting effect where it sort of blurs in one direction. I don't think there's much I can do. I was shooting at about I think it was 0.9 ms. So it was at 1,000th of a second. So I don't think it's that I think it's just like a Dob motor, and there's only so much you can do. But yeah, that's quite neat. Also, I must recommend if anyone hasn't seen it visually, even just hand tracked, it's quite difficult to do because you have to track the scope and look through the eyepiece. But it's unbelievable, honestly. I haven't done it with the tracker yet, but I've done it hand tracked, and it's just unreal. It beats out Saturn, I think. So yeah, have a look if you can. What else? Here we go. Deimos. Yeah, this was a shot of Mars in August with the 16 again, and I maybe have to link it. Yeah. So these were 1 second exposures. Don't think you can see that. So these are 2 stars, and then this was Deimos. Nicely placed, so it was in between the diffraction spike, because that can be very annoying, because it will just hide any moons that are in these planes. But so I just composited that, and you can actually see this white patch here is actually cloud, and in the time lapse I don't actually know where it is, but it took me ages to find. But you just have to trust me. The cloud moves and it sort of forms as the planet rotates, which is quite nice. This was one of the best images I got last year. This was about 21 degrees or so altitude, so still quite low. This was shot from home, Titan off to the left. And this was near opposition, so you had the ring brightening from the Seeliger effect, or Seeliger, however you say it. This was, just OSC. Usually I do IR luminance to deal with the seeing somewhat, but if the seeing is good, then you get away with it. This has got a nice one. This was in June of this year. I don't know what I can zoom. There you go. There's Jupiter just off to the left. I think I did different focal lengths for this. I did my normal terrain for Jupiter and the moons, and then I did I think it was a native for the moon. A little bit noisy on the limb, but it is what it is. I just hope people don't zoom in that much. Got into a solar one actually. This was with the Evo 120 in June. Again, very good seeing. I think this was pretty much diffraction limited with the 4-inch scope or whatever, 4.5. Nice placement as well with the active regions and then prominence on the side. I've got the raw thingy somewhere here. Yeah. You can see it's barely moving. I mean, a little bit, but I've actually sent my quark off for repair because it had a little bit of a uneven field. Like you can see at the top, it's slightly lower contrast. So this is actually partly off band. So I had to do like a mosaic to deal with this. You can see the image extends a little bit further up, but these are shot in the minutes after the transit. But yeah, hopefully I'll get that back and it'll be decent. This is an interesting one. This is the night side of Venus, which is only possible to get with a specific 1 micron filter, because most of the atmosphere, of course, if you get any light, there's no moon, so there's no like Earth shine or moon, what's it called? Yeah, Earth shine. There's nothing similar to that. So you're actually looking for the thermal emission from the surface, the black body radiation. Of course, it's blanketed with clouds, so you can't just shoot in any infrared wavelength. It's a very specific one, around 1.1, well, 1.01 microns, where the atmosphere is partially transparent, so the black body radiation escapes through the atmosphere, and then you can actually detect it. This overlay is actually a altimetry map, so you've got the higher altitude terrain appears as dark spots because it's cooler, so it emits less in black body, so it appears darker on the image. So that's quite nice. That was my best image so far. I'm going to attempt it again in September when Venus is currently very close to conjunction. So yeah.
Tom, that filter, that wavelength was so high. Is your camera even responsive at 1000 nanometer?
Yes. So this is a very hot topic of discussion among the planetary images. I chose, there's a lot more to this really with the camera choice, but because you would think, oh, just use a 462MC or whatever is like a high sensitivity to the IR, but you get this horrendous like diffraction pattern from the matrix of the camera, like the geometry of the sensor. So only certain sensors, I think the Sony Starvis version 2 sensors are free of it. So that's why I use the Uranus C, which is still quite high sensitivity. It's about 15%, which doesn't sound a lot, but it is not bad for 1 micron. And of course, you're past the Bay matrix is transparent to IR light, so you don't have to bother debayering or anything. So there's no downside of using a one-shot color camera at these wavelengths. So that's why I've gone for the Uranus C there. But quite a few images are starting to use this now who do night side, like Martin Lewis and Anthony Wesley and others. But yeah, I'm looking forward to attempting again in September because I think it's a much better placed. It's a little bit higher in the morning sky.
Cool.
This is a recent CH4 image that I took. 2 weeks ago. Yeah, nothing really to it. It's cool. CH4.
Did you ever combine it to some color version with the CH4?
No, but I've looked into doing it. You can do sort of like an addition thing similar to I know in Deep Sky add HA. It's somewhat similar to that. You can do it. There's like a interesting. Maybe I can search one because I think
I don't even know in what color you would add this. Maybe don't know.
Red would be the closest because
okay.
900. Here we go.
Yeah.
So you could do something similar to that. It's a bit strange, but
well,
it's very much false color. It's
yeah, right.
Lunar stuff, I guess. This was when was this shot? I can't even remember. April, yeah. So this is with the 462mm that I have, the mono. This is somewhat new, this sensor actually. With the 4x power mic, 2-panel mosaic. I love the detail inside this crater, especially. But yeah, nothing really special about that. No one likes the moon, so.
Yeah, to be honest, that was an exceptional image, really.
Thank you. Yeah. Put it down to seeing. This was nice little event in December. For this, I actually had to do a bit of a composite, just because the seeing was so bad, and it genuinely was quite bad this time. Yeah, so I did a little a mosaic just before, and then shot Mars. We go 8 times. So what's that? About 10 minutes or so up to the event, and then derotated them to the correct time, and then used the exposure in the event. This was great. I'll show you the raw data in a sec when this finishes. Oh, this is blurry. It's compressed, but there you go. You could almost see it moving in real time. So that was a nice little event. Incredibly cold though. It was about -8, I think. I'll show you on where is it? I think here. If I go, one of these. Yeah, this was an image taken on holiday that one time down to the south coast, and luckily had a Ganymede transit. This was near opposition as well, so Jupiter was near. I think it was about 50 arc seconds. So massive, good seeing. So it was nice to have Ganymede in transit as well, because you're more likely to get detail because you don't have the diffraction ringing around the side of because it's similar brightness to the Jupiter in the background. So you get quite nice detail there. I'll show you the live view. This one. So that was a brief moment of good seeing. It was actually possible. I did a little bit of visual as well. It is possible to see the bright crater on the bottom of Ganymede, the southern hemisphere, just about visually. I haven't really seen that. That was another ISS pass from last year. This was a time lapse, actually, double eclipse. This was last August, around this time actually. You can see how the seeing improves towards the end. But yeah, nice again. I like the elongation of Ganymede.
Yeah, that's cool. Right.
This actually isn't interpolated. I have been playing with it, but this was just the raw frames. I was shooting every minute, so quite a bit of data, but made it work. Oh, this was a neat one. This was in August of last year, all 4 Galilean moons. Yeah, anyone with true detail is really Ganymede, and it sort of remains that way for most of them. You can get the brighter equatorial band on Io, which is common to get in when it's in transit, but yeah, that was pretty neat. Yeah, anything you want to see or any questions? I don't really. Oh, this was quite good. This is questionable. The rings of Uranus. This was with a deep IR filter to extend the planet a little bit because it's got the CH4 absorption. Because the problem with Uranus's rings is they're so dim and the planet's so bright that it just washes out. So here I used, I think it was IR 850, and you get a hint of the rings there. But I've got a new IR filter actually to attempt this again and get a slightly cleaner image because it's obviously very noisy. And then just some more UV images of. This is a recent Saturn from this month. I mean, the one clear spell that we had so far this summer is terrible. Oh, this was the live view from Cornwall in the south coast again. So that was fairly good. This was at 19, I think, degrees. So not bad at all. Some of the images, that one. It's a bit blue, but no. We all hate the images when we come back to them.
Oh, there's deep sky. Okay.
These were taken with. I'll start with where is it? Oh, that was a comet, but yes, whatever. I don't know. It's okay. This is with my DSLR, the D5 300, I think.
But also on the Dobsonian.
Yes, yeah. All
Okay.
these are with the Dob, yeah.
Yeah.
So this was with the Dob as well. This was 1 hour with the DSLR. I think this was in June, so we didn't have Astro Dark. Yeah, I mean the corners are whatever. I mean, yeah, there's only so much you can expect from a Dob like tracking, but it is what it is. This was the center of Triangulum. I think this was only like 20 minutes. It's not too bad, but I've seen better. This was Comet again, quite noisy, but this is actually visually. You can see this visually. Sorry, I think it was about magnitude 8, 9 at the time. So that's pretty neat. This is a rare event that I got with a Boeing Starliner on approach. This was actually about an hour before docking. I had to manually track it. It was awful seeing. It is what it is, but it was nice to catch that because they're fairly rare to get a good pass and it be clear. So yeah, happy with that one. This is another one with the DSLR Whirlpool, but nothing special. You've seen better, I'm sure. This was Venus in early 22. 0.9 illumination. It was 8 degrees from the sun. I had to use my house as a sun shield because it was so close. So I'd wait for the sun to go behind the house, and then I'd have about 20 minutes to image Venus. So I got that out of it. But yeah, pretty much it. Another Ganymede, but need to color denoise that. Oh well. Another one with the quark. I think this was the one that was visible in. Hang on. So that 2023. Some of these images. The one in Australia, I think. Yeah. The one on the top right. You can see it's the same. This was taken a day after. So this was the same one that people saw in the eclipse. It was pretty neat. But yeah. Any questions, or I don't know, sort of running out of things to say?
Well, I think the guys are pretty stunned here. And I'm also sure that Sophie is watching closely because she's waiting for Dobsonian.
Yeah.
No worries. I've been asking him everything I need to know for the past, I don't know.
Okay. Good to hear. Yeah, wow, that's really, really amazing to see such shots.
I have a little question, if I can. Tom, why, when you shot the methane filter, like Jupiter, the photo here, you shot the Jupiter with methane, right, filter?
I can't even hear what you're saying. Sorry. What?
You use the methane filter.
A methane filter, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Why does it look more circular than invisible? Like just an optical illusion, or?
Oh, you mean? Oh, yeah. So with this, I think you're saying that it looks like stubbier, like wider.
Yeah.
Because of the spit. Yeah. I have noticed that actually. I'm not sure. I think it's just an illusion because these are the southern pole is much brighter. I think there's less limb darkening. No, sorry, more limb darkening in red compared to blue. So I think if you saturate this, if you'll see on here, you see how the edge is slightly bluish.
Yeah.
You get that the red or the redder part of the spectrum is much darker. So you've got a darkening of the limb, and then you've got the bright poles due to the lack of CH4. So I think it's just an illusion, to be honest. I think if you brightened it all and you lowered the gamma, then it would be circular. But the same as the one-shot color. But yeah, I have noticed that actually. It's a bit strange, but I think it's just an illusion.
I mean, both look amazing. That's what I can say.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, this was actually very good seeing, to be honest. This is a couple of weeks ago. I think the jet stream was fairly strong on this night as well, so I was quite lucky. I wasn't too surprised. I was very surprised, sorry. But yeah, it was quite small actually at this time. It was about 38 arc seconds, so fairly small, fairly distant rather. So yeah, pretty happy with that. But it'd be nice to image again soon if the weather clears up for once. Because yeah, it's almost Saturn opposition, isn't it? Which is yeah,
Not sure.
time being wasted, but that's what it is.
So with these images in mind, what are your plans for the, let's say, for the future? How I mean, it's difficult or hard to improve, but I'm quite sure you have plans.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this year, it's definitely get a better image, a cleaner image of Venus dark side in September when it rises slightly higher than it was in the evening apparition. I think that's definitely one that I want to improve. Definitely Uranus's rings. Wherever, yeah, this. I want to get a much cleaner image of this. And where is it? Yeah, maybe Neptune, but there's not. It's all just sort of nice events, I guess, is next. I would like to get one. I think I've said this to Sophie. I would like to get one with like me in the foreground or someone in the foreground, and then have like a planet in the background. So like really far away, one of the ones where you sometimes see it with moon images, where you have people silhouetted on like a mountain or a hill. I'd love to get that with like a really high focal length scope. But other than that, there's not much. It's just sort of improving, praying for good seeing, and yeah, get good events, I guess. And that's pretty much it. I can definitely improve the solar images. So hopefully when my quark gets back, if it's fixed, then maybe improve on that. I think processing isn't great as well on that. I need to have a bit of practice there, but yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know. This was a cat's eye nebula. Yeah, tiny little thing. That was angular size comparison. But yeah, it's not amazing. You've seen better, so this is what it is.
Have you also been thinking about doing like deep skylark imaging more, or planets?
I did try. I mean, this was lucky imaged, but nah, I don't know.
Yeah, but there's plenty of smaller planet nebula that could be shot.
Yeah,
I think.
I think I did thingy somewhere. Oh, this is ages ago now, actually. I think I've done the Ring Nebula once, but
Yeah.
the thing is, if I get a clear night, it's rare that a planet isn't going to be up, so I'm sort of tied to that. And I don't. It's sort of a case of the tracking is so poor, and I don't have a guider or a rotator, so it's just a lot of effort, and it's usually a mediocre result. So I'm not too bothered about it. And personally, it doesn't interest me all too much. But maybe, I mean, comets are quite interesting. I think there's one coming next year that might be fairly bright, so I might have a go at that. But yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell us what software or what the steps are and the tools for processing these images?
So I usually start. I mean, all these on. Is that right? Yes. So I usually capture multiple 1 minute videos. What was it? Multiple 1 minute videos. As if you go longer than it smears. You can get away with maybe 2-3 minutes depending on your aperture. But as I'm at 16-inch, I can't really go much longer than a minute. I usually just capture them back to back. And then that's what formed the time lapse that you saw of this image earlier. And I usually just sharpen each of those single images and load them into. I usually do the sharpening in Astrosurface as well, which is a different program to Registax, but you get a pretty similar result. And then I do the normal wind Jupiter derotation. I usually do about 15 minutes for Jupiter, which is give or take maybe 13 or so stacks, because there's usually I give it a little bit of a gap in between captures, so 15 minutes is about 13 captures. Usually that's because I use like a hairdryer to clear the secondary from dew, because I don't actually have a dew heater, and it's very humid here at night, so I usually have to clear the secondary like after maybe 3 captures, which can be a bit annoying, but it's what it is. And then after I've derotated it, I usually just go into Photoshop and do the color, because I record in RAW actually, so it's like a really green heavy image, and then I do the color balance afterwards. If I have moons as well, WinDupost usually smears them, so it can be a bit of a pain to fix those. You can probably still see there's a little bit of darkening here where there shouldn't be, but there's only so much you can do. So yeah, that can be a bit of a pain. It's just a lot of masking and playing around. But yeah, other than that, there's not much to it. I think for Mars you can get away with about 40 odd minutes. I think that's what I did for this image. This is about 40 minutes, 30 minutes maybe. Oh, actually no, it wasn't. Maybe I only selected those then. I definitely record for about an hour though. But then again, it's just sharpen and derotate. I also tend to over sharpen each of the single stacks. Maybe I can find one. Can you see this, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Is this Mars? Yeah, that's just a time lapse. Very green, but so maybe not that one. Yeah, so these are the raw images. They're very green heavy because of the Bay matrix. And then I sharpen these. Oh, sorry, I normalize the brightness because of the.
When you say raw, from AutoStacker, so,
yes, yeah, not raw frame, yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
This is after stacking, yeah, pre-sharpening though. And then I sharpen them, and you can see it's very noisy. I over sharpen, because then I use derotation to essentially do a stack of stacks, and it increases SNR. Thing is, if you denoise at this step, you're essentially limiting detail, because you have a really smooth derotated image, but then you've blurred it in that step. So I just keep it as sharp as possible. You can see the difference literally in a minute. It's quite insane. Go from that to nice, yeah. And then, oh yeah, I have a script actually a friend of mine made that defield rotates, because obviously field rotation is a massive issue, which keeps it nice, and so that just speeds up derotation, but it's not a needed step. This is just me playing around with interpolation, but and then I would derotate it. These are the derotated stacks. Yeah, you can see the noise is pretty much gone, but the sharpness is still there. This was a single stack, and then derotated, and then I just do a bit of color thingy, and then I'll do maybe a little bit more sharpening, and then add the moon if I manage to get it. I actually did notice you don't need to do. Of course, the image here was where I exposed differently. I did use 1 second exposures, but on some of them, I'll see if I can find one. You can maybe not on that one. It is possible to get the moons in normal exposures, normal captures. I don't know whether I'll be able to find one, but maybe I did one wide one here, hopefully. I usually did like a wider capture for. You can see that's all from dew formation that where it dims. Maybe I got one. No. Annoying. But yeah, you're just gonna have to take my word for it. If you stretch it, you just get little points where if you sharpen with like a large scale wavelet and then stretch the image, then they do pop out. So I have that in some of my images. Yeah. See if I can find. Oh, this was the. This isn't Uranus. This is the ISS. Yeah. Again, green heavy. If I. Oh, that's where I've lost.
Oh, that's directly from the telescope.
Yeah.
Cool. That's also interesting to see. Huh?
So you can see it's going in and out of. This is all fire capture though.
Yeah.
But centering it. I'll try and find the. It's all over the place, really. But, so yeah, that was the moment I think where I made that image. But I mean, the raw data doesn't look as good, really. But processing obviously brings quite a bit out, especially if you tracked. You get a lot more frames. You have higher SNR, you can get away with it. There you go. That was it. I think it was here. But yeah, the reason I have this is Uranus, by the way, is fire capture doesn't track it has like a little ROI box where it tracks the planet, which reduces the data rate. Because of course you want to use the whole sensor, but then a Uranus C running at max FPS it just swamps the hard drive. So you can have a little box that it just tracks the planet and records that tiny. That's what you're seeing here.
But I assume that you have plenty of space.
Yes.
Disk space. Otherwise, it would not be possible.
Yeah, definitely. It's more because my laptop's actually running the tracker at the same time. So if I have all the computing power trying to save the raw video, then the tracker can mess up, and I have had that before where it's just like just stop tracking, and it's a pass thrown away. So this is the one that we saw earlier. This is that was Venus. So these are this is what the raw nighttime data looks like. I'll see if I can maybe pull it out just to show. It's all about just record, and you don't see it on the live view, so it's like, oh, you just have to pray that it's there. You just auto stretch this and then sharpen it. Yeah, you can see it's there. Obviously, I'm not. There you go. Yeah, so that's pretty neat. But yeah, is there any more questions or?
How about a quick overlook about your weather apps, the seeing forecasts?
Oh yes, yeah. This is the one I use. Oh, and windy as well. Hang on. I should be careful to not DDoS my location. But yeah, say let's take a good night. I think Thursday's looking fairly clear, but if I go for say Oxford, which I'm not in Oxford, but I say I am. I usually go to this airgram thing, which shows essentially a cutout of the atmosphere. So these are upper one that it goes from sea level here up to how many thousand meters that is, flight level 300, so that's about 10 kilometers. And all of these are wind barbs, so that's jet stream basically, all of those. And then you can see on Thursday it dies down a little bit. Also, I've noticed if the colors of the temperature isotherms, so if you have quite a big spacing near the lower altitudes like you do here compared to say here, you see how the green is much higher up. That usually means it's a little bit more stable. It's under high pressure. You're also looking to get all these wind barbs in the same direction. so you don't get wind shear. I'll try and find somewhere where it does have a wind shear. Yeah, you can see, like, say here, the directions are all over the place, so you're going to get horrendous wind shear. So you'll get poor seeing there. This is a website called Skippy Sky that's actually hosted in Australia. But they do seeing for Germany as well, Poland, Hungary, wherever. So you just go on seeing, and then these are hours from now. So plus 39 hours or whatever. So if I go to Thursday 10th for England, Thursday. Yeah, here you can see it's fairly good. Blue is good. Yeah, 8. That's saying 8 out of 10 next Wednesday evening. So that's a website that I use as well. I found this is fairly accurate. I've only just started using it for the last few months, but that's fairly good. Otherwise, it's just learning how to read these. And again, it's fairly accurate. But I find wind shear is definitely the biggest factor, and low altitude turbulence. I have had good seeing with the jet stream, but usually that's only when the lower atmosphere is really calm. Then you get G formation, fog, and whatnot. So that was what I had on this night, actually. But yeah, it's all just a roll of the dice, though, in the end. Yeah.
Cool, great tip. Thank you.
In terms of improving seeing, though, like there are a few things that you can do, especially if it's under like a heat wave condition where the ground's really hot. I think Sophie knows this. I usually get my hose pipe and just spray down the tarmac on my drive, because it takes the residue heat out, because all the way through the night the tarmac retains the heat in the day, so then it's just radiating in front of your scope permanently. So I usually just spray it down so it takes out the heat early on in the night, and then later on it's much improved. I did actually do a comparison image somewhere where I took an image, then sprayed the drive, and then took another image, and it was visibly better. Of course, this only really helps with low altitude stuff where you're looking over lots of, like, you know, when your line of sight's sort of over quite close to the ground. If you're looking overhead, then it's not really a problem. Yeah, that was one thing I'd do. Also, I take out my scope like a good 4 hours before I image so it can cool down. Otherwise, you get tube currents. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, it's just praying. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Any more questions or?
How accurate does your collimation have to be?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
I'll see if I can find one where it was slightly off. It definitely makes a difference with the moons. You can see them like a little bit of a. Actually, I can maybe find. I know one where it wasn't great. It was here. Yeah, maybe this one. Maybe just sharpen this now. See roughly my process. Lost it. 2022. Too many nights of imaging.
We all know these folders.
Yeah, I know which images are in each one. So that's roughly color balance. Yes, this is color balance from last session. That's probably about right. Nope, a bit too much. If I increase the gamma on this, yeah, you'll see. you get ringing on the top of Ganymede there. That was slightly off the collimation. There should be symmetric, but you can have it where it's slightly offset. You do, if you have, it depends which way your collimation, I don't know how to really say, I don't know whether you guys know this, but if you have a, you have sort of an error in one direction usually. So part of the, get this horrendous color, I don't know why it's doing this. Anyway,
but it would also be possible just to use a star, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. The problem with the star though is that you have to usually slew. You have to find one, and then unless there's one really close to the planet, which there actually happens to be one later this month, but you have to slew, and then the risk is you knock it slightly. I usually collimate with just a collimation eyepiece, like the little one with the hole in the middle. And I usually collimate at the altitude that I'm going to be imaging at. So if I'm imaging at whatever 35 degrees, then I'll collimate the scope in that position to offset any like mirror sag on the primary, and that usually works very well. But I mean, I'm usually very close, so you sometimes get a little bit of ringing on the side, but of course part of that is just edge rind, which just happens due to the bright difference between the planet and the background sky. But yeah, usually I just sharpen these. Yeah, this is what I got before. I did it properly. Again, you'll notice the noisy detail on Ganymede is the same as during that transit that I showed earlier, which is pretty neat. But yeah, this was actually a really nice one. This is Ganymede exiting Jupiter's shadow, but it was so close. So essentially the shadow goes something like this. I don't know whether you can see my cursor, but it goes something like this. So it was exiting the far side, the shadow that corresponds to this limb, which made it really weird because you'd expect it to go the other way. So that's pretty neat. A little crescent for a short time. But yeah, this was that transit when I was on holiday. Got very lucky on that one. The CH4 Saturn. Nothing much to it. It's just pretty cool. Pretty much most of this stuff is just yeah. What I did do is a UV Saturn, which is quite interesting. Terrible resolution because the seeing is just terrible in the wavelength, but that was pretty nice, unique to see. That's a little time lapse for that night. But... oh, this was the seeing, yeah.
Oh, that reminds me of another question. Do you, when the prediction says bad seeing, do you even take out your telescope, or do you skip such nights?
I mean, there was a night yesterday, but I'll actually show you the forecast yesterday. Yeah, so that was it yesterday. I didn't bother. I'm in the southwest. I'm somewhere here. So if this is showing, yeah, anything above, let me see. If I go change it to knots, yeah. So 100 knots is way too fast. I did say that you can get good seeing with a jet stream, but this is way too fast. It only really happens maybe around 50 knots or so and below you can deal with. So I didn't bother. This is before that, sorry, after the storm that we had a couple of days ago. So I just know it's always bad after a weather front pushes through. So I didn't bother. So I know that Thursday is going to be fairly good. But if there's a chance, if this is showing maybe a 7 out, if it's just blue, I'll probably give it a go, even if the jet stream is fairly strong. That's what I did in July. Where is it? This one. Yeah, these images were taken 2 weeks ago, and that was under a 60 knot jet. So it does happen. It's just yeah, fairly rare. I think Damien Beach actually said this in one of his talks that I saw, that he just said, "Oh, if you're not getting out every night, then you're going to miss, those odd periods where it's good seeing. So it is very much rolling a dice. Some nights where it says, "Oh, it's going to be really good," it's just not. It's just soup. So it's just a case of get out and see what it's like, and you just take the risk. So yeah, most nights I do go. There's a few ones that I miss, like the one yesterday, but most of the time I just send it anyway.
Okay, thanks.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Any more questions from you? Chat is also oh, Suhel is joining. Let me just let him in. I believe he missed the correct start time. Okay, Tom, thank you very much for that really interesting overview. That's really stunning, and now I want to try it again. I have often given it a try to shoot planets, but I was never that lucky. Yeah, maybe I just have to try it again.
Gotta get out every night.
Yeah, that's what I do, of course. Let me just switch. So, okay. Suhel, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Unfortunately, you're a bit late.
Yes, we are having a start party at the observatory.
Oh, okay.
So I have full people waiting to look through the telescope.
Cool. Okay. No worries. No problem at all.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, Tom just finished showing us some of his images, which was really great. And yeah, I'm looking forward to check out your.
Is this recorded?
This is recorded, of course,
Okay.
or will be available when we close the stream then. And he was gone. Oops. Yeah, don't know. Okay, then I would suggest we switch over to the next point, which is sharing some images. If someone has something to show, maybe let me just start at this point because I have only, don't know, two things. Only one email reached me from a viewer, which is Omar. He sent me some shots. Maybe we have to do a bit more advertising. But anyway, so I share my screen with you and let me just check out where I put these images. And of course, also for the viewers out there, if there's something unclear, feel free to drop a comment in the chat. Then we and Tom can go into that. So from Omar Baram, just reached by email, and I will go through these images here. The technical data is the scope is a TS Optics 80mm f7 refractor on a Skywatcher EQM35, taken with a Nikon D3400. Optolong L enhanced filter. I believe this applies for every of these images here, for all of these images. Guided with a guide scope and an ASI 120 mini camera. Oh, that's a pretty neat M8 here. Yeah, we can also go a bit more in detail. Really nice capture. And I believe it's stacked pretty long. I'm 78. Caldwell 68. Yeah, that's a bit too south, way too south for me. But anyway, stunning object here. Thanks, Omar, for sharing these images, and also the invitation for every other people. If you have something to share with us, just drop a mail to, just a moment, to this address that you can see now, and we can show them in the next session. I have also one shot that I can share with you. Unfortunately, as I said in the beginning, the weather was horrible in Germany and still is, so not much time for pretty or for really long exposures. I was able to capture this one. This is a region in Cygnus where this WR134 is located, a Wolf-Rayet object, together with the Tulip Nebula. I like this field really much, and this was taken with an ASI 6200 camera, opto-long narrowband filters. So this is an HOO combination, and the scope is my TS 106FF Apo refractor. The reason why I shot this frame here is because I took an image of this region before with my RC. Let me just check if I can find this. Well, where is it? Also too many folders here. Oh yeah, here it is. So this is the same object as this one, but taken with a 12-inch Richard Curtin telescope. The same camera and same filters. That means this is the view of the full frame camera here. Pretty exciting or pretty also demanding object, because you have to expose really long, especially the 03 for this blue tone here needs to be exposed much longer than I did, to be honest. When this is exposed very long, then also this outer very faint shell appears, which is barely visible here. But I love this object. This is now my favorite one, and I hope that I can add some data more in, maybe next year. Oh, Robert has to leave. Thanks for joining us, Robert. See you next time. Thank you. Okay, that's all from me. Just these two shots. And now who wants to share something more? Let me just stop my sharing. So, feel free.
As you said, the weather in Europe is quite shit.
Yes.
I got around 8 images in total. Let me just share my screen. Yes, okay. You see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is the first image. It was taken in Austria, and I've visited Robert here. He had some stuff from me, and I'm just what I did here. Okay. Yeah, I visited Robert here, and we went to basically a store party, and I just set up my telescope and was shooting, of course, the Milky Way, as I didn't have my telescope with me. If I had a car, I'd probably take my telescope, but I didn't, so that was basically my first ever panoramic image. And I think it turned out quite good. And this is around 25 minutes of data, I think.
25.
Yes.
Okay, this is near to nothing.
I mean, it was shot at like at 3 or something, and 60-minute exposures, and the sky was really dark.
Mm.
Someone there had a SPM meter, and it was around 21.3, which is super dark for me. I've never been that dark before. So I think the first result ever came out quite okay. Then the second image I took was, I think, this one, my second panoramic image. I had to travel to Dalmatia. This is how we say it. I don't know how it's pronounced in English. But this was taken as a seaside, as you can see. It was quite windy. The boat was trailing, and it was quite light polluted because of parties like this, and there was like 2 more on this side. But it was quite fun to be here. It was still quite dark. Yeah, and then the last thing I want to show is my image that I'm probably the most proud of from these 3. It's actually my first flight on a new telescope. It's a Street Upper 100 ED at f4.4, and this is only about 1 hour and 40 minutes during full moon. And I got a lot of faint H alpha stuff around it, and I'm super stoked to see what else it can do under better conditions and longer exposure times.
That's
And
beautiful.
the
Yeah,
stuff is amazing.
great.
I mean, look at it. Only a few pixels wide. The layer was super clean. I didn't use any calibration frames, although I think I should. There's some stuff here and stuff. I think this is from the OpEx better up there. But I don't want to move it upward anymore because stars get a bit wetty. And this here is just hot pixels. That should probably get removed when I do dark frame and stuff like that. Flash frames, dark flash. So these are the 3 images for me. I think that's it.
Nice job, Yasha.
Thank you.
I've got a few, Torsten, if you want to see.
Oh yeah, sure.
Let me just share the screen. Okay. So this one, of course, is the Vela supernova remnant. This was taken with the Samyang 135 at f2.8, I think. And it's about 20 hours of data, about 10 hours of HA and 10 hours of O3. Then let's see.
That lens is performing really well, isn't it?
Sorry?
That lens is great.
Yeah, that lens is amazing. You can be unlucky, in terms of the edges. Sometimes people do have aberrations on the edges of the sensor. This is with the APS-C sensor, the 2600 mm. but I got lucky with my sample at least, so I'm very happy with it. Then another image taken with the same lens, the Samyang 135. This is with the one-shot color camera, the 2600 MC. Again, I think it's about 10 hours worth of data. Yeah, 10 hours worth of data with the IDAS NBZ filter.
Is that one cropped here, or is that basically the full
cropped,
sensor?
Yeah, it is slightly cropped. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And then switching telescopes. So going now to the Celestron Edge HD 9.25. So this is my longest project to date, about 50 hours worth of data. So 25 hours of HA and 25 hours of O3. So this is RC58, I think. It's a Rolf Wright star. And yeah, I just had a string of clear nights, so I managed to get the time in. So I was very happy with the result. The sort of blue shell is only just visible, and that's even after 25 hours worth of O3. Yeah, admittedly, it's from a Bortle 7 site, so if I'd gone to a darker site, I might have been luckier with the shell, but maybe with another 25 hours, I'll get it coming out a little bit sharper. And then this was about 30 hours on Centaurus A. Oh, sorry, excuse me. Yeah. So here I've combined data from my RASA 8, HA data from the RASA 8 to get the HA jet. And then combine that with luminance data from the RASA 8. So about 25 hours worth of luminance data, and then probably about 5 hours worth of, about 3 hours worth of color data, which I took with the TS 94 EDPH. So that was taken from a dark site. The color data was taken from a dark site, and the HA and luminance data was taken from Bortle 7. I did want to get 100 hours on this. Really wanted to get the outer regions of the galaxy, but I'll have to go back to it next year. I just ran out of decent clear nights. But yeah, the great thing about these objects, you can go back to them year after year and just add more data. So
yeah,
definitely going to go back and get another 30 hours worth of data on this.
This is really interesting. Before this image, I wasn't aware that there is such a strong H-alpha jet appearing.
Yeah, you need a lot of data. So this was I think about 10 hours worth of HA data.
Okay, it's not strong. You're right.
Not strong, no. And then lastly, another one from the Samyang 135. So this is Roafuchi, of course. This was taken on a single night from a farm near Sutherland. So probably some of the darkest skies in South Africa. So it's about 3 hours worth of data from there. And again, it was just the one night, and definitely want to go back and capture some more data, so maybe some HA data to get this emission nebulosity here, which is only just sort of coming through. It's a lot stronger with more data, and then there's also some HA here as well, which would be a lot stronger with some HA data. Yeah, so that's me.
Great shots, Peter. Fantastic.
Yeah, so I guess it's my turn now. I don't have a lot to show. My remote scope is busy discovering new nebulae, and well, the scope at home It's sitting inside, waiting for the clouds to pass and waiting for the mount to. I still have issues with my new mount, so can't image right now. But I can show you the last pretty picture I got with my remote scope. So hold on. Here we go. Yeah, this is probably the deepest image of M101, which is out there. We imaged under bottle 3, or I don't know, I need to lie. Wait a minute. Yeah, 100 hours. And we gathered lots of luminance, and it's pretty crazy if you look at the galaxy down there. Wait a minute, can't zoom like this. Well, first of all, we have the supernova in here. And the thing which fascinated me the most are those tidal streams or whatever it is around this little galaxy here. Because it looks so lame, I'd say. When you image it with short integration time, it's just a yellow blob. But once you look at it at a deep image and you see all, it's hard to see here. It's better to see in the starless, but there's a bow over here and one over here and this one. I don't know what's going on with that galaxy, but it's really crazy. And also this little guy over here.
That's a beauty. Unbelievable.
It doubled in size. Like, usually you only know this part of it, and suddenly it's twice the size. That's pretty crazy. And yeah, well, you have lots of faint, low surface brightness galaxies like this one, and I think there was another one here somewhere. And yeah, a lot of galaxy clusters here. It's so beautiful once you look at it. And yeah, that's one image. And the second one I have is my first ever solar image in H-alpha. With the cheapest solar setup you can think of, the Land 40 and the ASI 120 Mini.
Sorry.
Skywatcher Star Adventure.
Sorry, what was the first one?
The Land 40.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well.
So can't go any cheaper than that, but I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
And especially with this active region in the top here. Yeah, so that's everything from me.
Cool. Yeah, that M101 image covers all this all the stuff. Really crazy thing. Cool. Yeah. Not so much to show this time, but yeah, the darker nights are coming again. And yeah, we hope that the weather will also permit some more shots, I think. Okay, so let me just quickly check the chat. Oh, there was something going on. Yeah, people are also fascinated by your images, Tom. Maybe one short question. I'm looking for a software or site to calculate moon transits on Saturn.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. I don't think there's a website that has. I think there is a software that I looked at ages ago that comes to mind, but I usually just go on Stellarium or similar.
Sure. Yeah.
And you know, if it's clear, or if I know that the following week is going to be clear, usually I just look at it like a year ahead because I'm not, obsessed, I suppose. But you can just look on Stellarium, and that's usually very accurate. If you don't have the GRS settings dialed in, that's not accurate. So if you see the Great Red Spot on Jupiter, it's not necessarily true with the default Stellarium settings. But the moon transits definitely are.
Yeah, right.
I think WinJupos also has Ephemeris as well, so you can use that. But I just use Stellarium, and that does the job. But yeah, okay. I'm not sure of any other website. You know, that you don't have to download some sort of software.
I believe that there are other star map softwares like Cartes du Ciel or what is it called? That other one, I can't remember the name, but they should also have the moon positions in it. Yeah, that should be common.
Yeah.
Okay, so then I think we are at the end of the session. Tom, thanks again for your time. Thanks for your presentation, and
Thank you for having me.
Was great. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the next session. We will check how to proceed with the format, 1 month, 2 months, or whatever we will decide. So for now, thank you very much. Have a nice evening and see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, take care.